All right, ready to dive deep. Today, it's Karl Marx.
Karl Marx. Oh, yeah.
You've probably heard about the Communist Manifesto.
Of course. Who hasn't?
But there's, trust me, a whole universe behind that one famous work.
A whole universe.
You've given us a biography.
Okay.
And some of Marx's own writings.
Perfect.
Which is perfect because we're going beyond, like, the slogans, you know?
Right.
And understand the man.
The man himself.
His era and why his ideas still matter today.
Absolutely. And what's amazing is how much Marx's life, mirrors the tumult of the 19th century.
Totally.
Revolutions, industrialization.
Huge.
Huge debates about the very nature of society, like all swirling around him.
Oh, yeah.
It's no wonder he became such a radical thinker.
Absolutely. And get this, the biography reveals some seriously unexpected details.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Turns out, young Karl was a bit of a...
Bit of a what?
Romantic.
Romantic, really?
He wrote poetry, yearning for the infinite, even pondering death. Not exactly the image that usually comes to mind.
Not the stereotypical image of a revolutionary.
No.
That poetic side, though, it actually gives us a glimpse into his early philosophical leanings.
Yeah.
We often forget that Marx, he wasn't born a revolutionary. He evolved, grappling with big questions from a young age.
Speaking of evolution, let's rewind to his childhood.
Oh, right.
Born in Trier, Germany.
Oh.
In 1818.
1818.
Marx came from a family with a fascinating and, frankly, complex Jewish heritage.
Complex? How so?
Generations of rabbis
Wow.
preceded him.
Okay.
His father, Heinrich Marx, was raised in that tradition,
Okay.
but converted to Protestantism,
Interesting.
possibly for career reasons.
Imagine the dinner table conversations in that household.
Oh, I bet those were lively,
Yeah.
deeply Jewish roots on one side,
Right.
and then this embrace of Enlightenment ideas on the other.
Yeah, that's a recipe for some serious intellectual sparring. It might have been those conflicting influences that sparked Marx's critical thinking early on.
Yeah.
He was constantly questioning the status quo.
Including the one he grew up in.
Makes sense.
So we've got young Karl, the romantic poet,
Right.
head over heels for Jenny von Westphalen.
Oh, Jenny.
His love letters are passionate
I bet.
and already hint at his yearning for a better world.
Talk about a fiery personality.
And that fire is what fuels him through university.
University, okay.
Initially studying law,
Law, interesting.
he can't resist the pull of philosophy,
The lure of the big question.
the lure of grappling with those fundamental questions about humanity and society.
Right.
He gets hooked on Hegel,
Hegel, of course.
a titan in German philosophy at the time.
Absolutely.
But even then, Marx isn't just a follower.
Right.
He starts shifting away from Hegel's idealism
Oh, interesting.
towards a more grounded focus on real-world problems.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Marx dives into journalism.
Okay. And you wouldn't believe some of the topics he covered.
Give us some examples.
Wood theft, the plight of wine growers.
Wait, hold on. Wood theft.
Yeah.
Wine growers.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't exactly sound like revolutionary material.
Exactly. But for Marx,
Yeah.
these seemingly mundane issues, they were like cracks in the facade of society.
Okay.
They revealed
They revealed what?
deeper economic inequalities
Okay.
and the struggles of everyday people.
So he sees.
He saw how these seemingly minor disputes
Right.
were actually symptoms of a system that was failing many.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in his mid-20s, Marx is wrestling with these ideas.
Okay.
Honing his critical lens.
Right.
Then he lands in Paris.
Paris. Oh, wow.
Talk about a city that lights a fire under a revolutionary.
Paris in the 1840s, it was a melting pot of radical thinkers.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine Marx in those smoky cafes debating with the likes of Heine Proudhon.
Yeah.
Bakunin, it was an intellectual pressure cooker.
I bet. And Paris is where he really starts to crystallize his critique of capitalism, right?
Absolutely. This is when he writes the Paris manuscript,
Paris manuscripts, okay.
where he explores the concept of alienation.
The alienation, okay.
Imagine feeling disconnected from what you produce,
Okay.
from your fellow workers,
Yeah.
even from your own sense of self.
Yeah.
That's alienation, and Marx argued it was built into the very nature of capitalism.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second.
Sure.
For those who haven't encountered this term before,
Yeah.
alienation sounds pretty abstract.
Yeah, you're right.
So like,
To put it simply,
Yeah.
think about a factory worker on an assembly line.
Okay. Yeah.
They might spend hours making a tiny part of a product,
Uh-huh.
but never see the finished item,
Right.
let alone benefit from its sale.
Yeah.
They're essentially a cog in a machine.
Disconnected from the fruits of their labor. That feeling of disconnect, that's alienation.
Wow. Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects to like everyday life.
Right.
And the Paris manuscripts are where Marx really digs into this, right?
They are. It's fascinating how his writing in this period is so vivid and full of metaphors, almost poetic. It's like he's trying to capture not just the economic reality of capitalism, but also its psychological and emotional impact.
And it's not just theoretical for him.
No, not at all.
He's living in Paris.
Right.
Witnessing the conditions of the working class firsthand.
Exactly.
That must have been fuel for his intellectual fire.
Oh, absolutely. His time in Paris was formative.
It was.
It was like all these strands, his philosophical training, his journalistic experiences, his observations of Parisian life, all were weaving together into a powerful critique of the existing order.
So from romantic poet, to journalist to philosopher, where does this journey take him next?
From the vibrant heart of Paris, he heads to Brussels.
Brussels, okay.
It's a bit of a shift.
Is it?
But it's here that his focus turns from simply analyzing capitalism to actively seeking ways to change it.
To change it, all right. Last time, we left Marx in Brussels.
That's right.
Shifting from philosopher to, dare I say, revolutionary organizer.
Revolutionary organizer, okay.
And there were hints of some serious debate brewing between him and other radicals of the time.
That's right. Brussels is where Marx really starts to solidify his unique vision.
Okay.
And that means bumping heads with some other big thinkers. One of those was
who?
Mikhail Bakunin.
Mikhail Bakunin, okay.
A Russian revolutionary who championed anarchism.
Okay, for those of us not steeped in revolutionary theory, what exactly does anarchism mean in this context?
Right.
Is it just chaos and mayhem?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Bakunin believed that all forms of government, all states, are inherently oppressive.
Okay.
True liberation, he argued, required abolishing the state entirely.
Wow.
So it's not about chaos,
but
about reimagining how society could function without traditional power structures.
That's a pretty radical concept.
It is.
Especially in the 19th century.
Right.
How did that square with Marx's vision?
Well, that's where the fireworks started.
Okay, tell me more.
Marx saw the state as a tool, one that could be seized by the working class during a revolution, and used to build a new socialist society.
So not
immediate abolition.
Not immediate abolition.
But transformation from within.
So it was a strategic disagreement.
Yeah, you could say that.
Both wanted radical change.
Absolutely.
But had different paths in mind.
Different roads to get there.
I can only imagine the debates that must have sparked.
Oh, they were epic.
I bet.
Think of it like two wings of a revolutionary movement.
Okay.
Both striving for the same goal.
Right.
But clashing over the best way to get there.
And these weren't just abstract philosophical debates.
No, they were not.
They played out in the First International.
The First International.
The organization that Marx was heavily involved in.
That's right.
The First International was an early attempt to unite workers across national borders, right?
That was the goal.
It seems like Marx had a lot on his plate.
He did.
Organizing, debating.
Right.
And all while still working on his magnum opus, Capital.
His most important work, absolutely.
And remember, he's not doing this from some ivory tower.
No, not at all.
The biography paints a stark picture of his life in London.
Right.
Poverty, family struggles.
It was a difficult time for him.
Even having to pawn his belongings to make ends meet.
It's true.
It makes his dedication to capital even more impressive.
It really does.
This wasn't just an academic exercise for him.
No, it was much more than that.
It was a mission.
A mission, yeah.
Fueled by his own lived experiences of hardship.
Exactly. He was driven to expose the inner workings of capitalism.
Okay.
To show how a system that claimed to be about freedom and progress was actually built on exploitation. And to do that, he had to develop some pretty dense economic theory.
Which is where concepts like surplus value and the labor theory of value come in, right?
They do. Those are central to capital.
But can be a bit head-scratching.
A bit confusing.
For those not familiar with Marxist economics.
You're right. Those are key.
So
the labor theory of value, to put it simply, argues that the value of a product is determined by the amount of labor that went into creating it.
Okay.
So a car, which requires a lot of labor, is worth more than a loaf of bread.
Okay.
Which takes less time and effort to produce.
Right.
Simple enough so far, right?
Yeah, I think I'm following.
Okay, good.
But Marx takes this further, doesn't he?
He does.
Okay.
He argues that under capitalism, workers aren't paid the full value of their labor. The factory owner in our example takes a cut. That's the surplus value.
Surplus value.
It's the difference between what the worker produces and what they're paid.
So the capitalist is profiting off the labor of the workers.
Exactly.
Even beyond what they're paying in wages.
Precisely. And that surplus value, Marx argues, is the engine of capitalism.
Engine of capitalism.
It's what allows for the
allows for what?
The accumulation of wealth.
Right.
In the hands of the capitalist class.
Okay.
Often at the expense of the workers who are actually creating that wealth.
This is starting to sound a lot like some of the debates we're having about
what?
Economic inequality today.
Right.
It's fascinating how these ideas developed in the 19th century.
In the 19th century.
Still resonate in the 21st.
It's remarkable, isn't it? And Marx didn't just lay out this theory in Capital. He connected it to real historical events like the Paris Commune.
The Paris Commune.
That brief but radical experiment in worker self-governance.
Right. It was crushed pretty quickly.
It was.
But seems to have had a huge impact on revolutionary thought.
It did in 1871.
Okay.
After France's defeat in the Franco-Prussian War.
The Franco-Prussian War.
The working class of Paris rose up and took control of the city.
Wow.
For a few months, they ran their own affairs.
Implemented radical policies like worker control of factories, even separated church and state.
It sounds like a real-life attempt to put some of Marx's ideas into practice.
Many saw it that way, including Marx himself.
However, short-lived it was.
Yes, it was eventually suppressed.
Right.
But its legacy inspired revolutionaries for generations to come.
It's a reminder that ideas don't just exist in books.
They don't.
They can actually spark...
They can spark what?
Real-world action.
Absolutely.
And have profound consequences.
Profound consequences, yes.
Even if those actions ultimately fail.
That's right.
And amidst all this...
All this what?
Writing Capital, analyzing the Commune, dealing with the drama of the First International...
What's a lot?
Marx's personal life.
It wasn't exactly
a walk in the park either.
No. It was not.
The biography doesn't shy away from the hardships.
The hardships.
He and his family faced a lot.
Constant financial struggles.
Yes.
The loss of several children to illness.
It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, yeah.
It is, and on top of that, Marx himself was dealing with chronic health problems.
Health problems, right.
Carbuncles, liver issues.
Right.
All sorts of ailments that made it physically difficult to continue his work.
Knowing what he went through makes his intellectual achievements even more astounding.
It's incredible.
He persevered through so much.
He did.
Driven by his conviction that he was uncovering something truly important.
He truly believed in what he was doing.
It's a testament to his unwavering belief in the power of ideas.
Absolutely.
To change the world.
To change the world, yes.
He really felt like he was on the cusp of exposing truths.
Exposing truths, yeah.
That could help humanity break free from the chains of
exploitation and inequality.
He wanted to make a difference.
So he's in London, battling illness, yeah.
Wrestling with these huge ideas.
Right.
And yet he never gives up.
Never gives up.
What an incredible figure.
He was. And And while his story might seem like ancient history, the questions he grappled with are as relevant as ever.
That's true.
His analysis of capitalism, the role of labor, the potential for revolution. These themes continue to echo in our own time.
That's a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive.
The final part.
We've covered his life.
His life, right?
His ideas.
His ideas, yes.
His struggles.
His struggles, it's been a journey.
But what about his legacy?
His legacy, that's the big question.
How has the world grappled with Marx's thought since his death?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because Marx's ideas didn't die with him.
Right.
They took on a life of their own.
They did?
Inspiring movements.
Movements, okay.
Revolutions. And debates that continue to shape our world today.
Welcome back to the final chapter of our Karl Marx deep dive.
The final chapter.
We've traced his journey from romantic poet
to
revolutionary thinker.
Right.
Explored his groundbreaking ideas. And confronted the hardships he endured.
It's been quite a journey.
But now it's time to tackle the big question.
The big one, yeah.
His legacy.
His legacy, and what a legacy it is.
Yeah.
Marx's work has been interpreted and reinterpreted, championed and demonized in countless ways over the past century and a half.
Wow.
It's almost like he predicted his own fate.
How so?
When he wrote about how under capitalism, even ideas become commodities, subject to the forces of production and exchange.
Wow, that's a powerful thought.
It is.
It's like he became a product himself, packaged and repackaged to fit various agendas.
That's a good way to put it.
But underneath all that, there's something enduring. About his ideas.
Absolutely. Marx tapped into something.
Something wild.
Fundamental about the human experience. The desire for fairness.
Right.
The struggle against oppression.
Yeah.
The yearning for a world beyond exploitation.
That's awful stuff.
These themes resonate across time and cultures.
Absolutely.
Which is why, his work continues to spark debate and inspire action even today.
So let's rewind the clock.
Rewind the clock, okay.
Marx dies in 1883.
1883.
Relatively unknown outside radical circles.
Right.
But in the decades that follow, his ideas start to...
Start to what?
Gain traction.
Gain traction, okay.
Particularly among the burgeoning working class movements of Europe.
The working class movements, right?
Why then?
Think about the context.
The context.
Industrialization is in full swing.
Okay.
Inequality is widening.
Right.
And workers are...
Workers are what?
Organizing.
Okay.
To demand better conditions.
Right.
Marx's critique of capitalism.
Yeah.
His call for worker solidarity.
Worker solidarity.
It all starts to resonate with the new generation grappling with these very real problems.
So it's not just the theory.
It's just the theory, no.
It's the historical moment that breathes life into his ideas.
Right. It's like the world was catching up to Marx's vision.
Yeah, and this leads to the formation of socialist and communist parties.
Socialist and communist parties, okay.
Directly inspired by Marx's writings.
Inspired by his writings, right?
Some become major political forces.
They do.
Pushing for social reforms.
Social reforms, yeah.
Labor rights. And even revolutionary change.
Revolutionary change, right?
In other places, they face brutal repression.
Brutal repression.
It's a reminder that ideas don't exist in a vacuum.
They don't.
They're always shaped
by what?
By the social and political landscape.
Absolutely. And that brings us to one of the most challenging aspects of Marx's legacy.
Okay.
The regimes that claim to act in his name, often with disastrous consequences.
How do we reconcile that? With the progressive movements he inspired.
It's a complex question.
It is.
And there are no easy answers.
Right.
We can't shy away from the fact that some of Marx's later writings, particularly his concept of the
what?
dictatorship of the proletariat have been used to justify
Justify what?
authoritarianism and state violence.
Right. That phrase has been at the center of so much debate.
It has.
Some argue that Marx saw it as a
what?
temporary, necessary stage.
Necessary, yeah.
And the transition to a truly communist society.
Communist society, right?
Where the state would eventually wither away.
Wither away, okay.
Others point to it as evidence of his inherent authoritarian tendencies.
Authoritarian tendencies, right?
How do we make sense of this?
I think it's crucial to remember that Marx, like all thinkers, was a product of his time.
Right.
He couldn't have foreseen the rise of
what?
20th century totalitarianism.
Totalitarianism, okay.
Or the ways his ideas would be twisted to serve those ends.
So we shouldn't hold him accountable for every interpretation.
Every interpretation.
Or misinterpretation of his work.
Exactly. At the same time, we can't ignore the parts of his writing that have been used to justify oppression.
Okay.
It's a reminder.
Reminder what?
That even the most well-intentioned ideas can have unintended consequences. And that absolute power.
Absolute power.
Even in the hands of those claiming to represent the people.
Right.
Can be incredibly dangerous.
It's a cautionary tale about the complexities of revolution and the importance of safeguarding democratic principles.
Democratic principles, right.
Even when pursuing radical change.
Absolutely. So where does all this leave Marx in the 21st century?
Right. Is he still relevant?
Relevant,
in a world that's vastly different from the one he lived in.
I believe he is.
You do.
But we need to engage with his work critically, understanding its historical context, acknowledging its flaws, and extracting what's still valuable for us today. And there's a lot that remains relevant.
Like what specifically? What aspects of his analysis still hold true in our current moment?
His critique of capitalism.
Capitalism, okay.
One, Marx's insights into the exploitative nature of the system, how it generates both immense wealth and staggering inequality are more relevant than ever.
I could see that.
Look at the resurgence of labor activism.
Okay.
The growing awareness of corporate power.
Yeah.
The renewed focus on economic justice.
Economic justice,
These are all themes that echo Marx's core concerns.
It's like we're living through a moment where his ideas are finding new life. Not as blueprints for revolution.
Not as blueprints, right?
But as tools.
Tools for what?
For understanding.
For understanding, right.
And challenging the systems that shape our lives.
Precisely. And beyond his economic critique, there's also his emphasis on solidarity. The idea that we're all interconnected and that collective action.
Collective action, right.
Is essential for overcoming injustice.
It's a powerful idea.
It might sound utopian.
Utopian, yeah.
In a world dominated by individualism and division.
Right.
But I think it speaks to a deep human longing.
A deep human longing, yeah.
For connection and a sense of shared purpose.
That yearning for connection.
Connection.
That sense of shared humanity seems even more urgent.
Urgent, yes.
In a world grappling with global challenges.
Global challenges, of course.
Like climate change.
Climate change.
And economic inequality.
It's more important than ever.
Maybe that's part of why Marx continues to resonate.
Continues to resonate,
even with those who might not agree with all his prescriptions.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Marx might not have all the answers, but he forces us to ask the right questions.
Right questions.
He challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question the status quo, and to imagine alternatives.
Alternatives.
And ultimately, that's what makes him such an enduring, an important figure.
So what does this all mean for you
For the listener.
Our listener.
Right.
Well, hopefully this deep dive,
has
given you a richer, more nuanced understanding of Karl Marx.
Karl Marx, the man.
He wasn't just a dry economic theorist.
No, he was much more than that.
He was a passionate advocate for social justice.
He was a
life full of
adventure.
Yeah.
Heartbreak,
of course.
And intellectual brilliance.
And intellectual brilliance, absolutely.
And as we wrap up, I want
to
leave you with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Whether you find his ideas compelling or repulsive, right?
Marx's work reminds us
of what?
That the world we inhabit is not inevitable.
Not inevitable, okay.
It's shaped by human choices.
Shaped by human choices, right?
And can be transformed through human action.
Transformed through human action. That's a powerful thought.
So go forth.
Go forth, all right?
And continue exploring. Read Marx, debate him. Challenge him. Mm-hmm. Be inspired by
him, right?
And most importantly, use your newfound knowledge.
Yeah.
To engage critically with the world around you.
Engage critically. I like that.
Because that's the best way.
The best way to what?
To honor the legacy of a thinker.
A thinker.
Yeah. Who dedicated his life.
To
understanding.
Right.
And hopefully transforming the human condition.
The human condition. Well said.